Hey, good evening, everybody. So, I've been having a lot of fun playing with my new setup here. I've got some new lights. I put in a new lamp in my room. I've got some LEDs and that are remote controlled, and I can sort of play with and change the color. I like them. I like them on blue, contrast with my warm lights. And I've also got um, a ring light and some other things that I can kind of play with and um, just do different things with. So that's a lot of fun, but it's going to help me make a little bit higher quality videos for you guys since, I know that all I'm doing this with is my smartphone at the moment, and I'm making the best with what I got. So I've got a nice lav mic, and hopefully things will be a little bit clearer. I can add some pictures and some other editing things onto the screen to give you some better visuals. So let me know if you like this. Let me know if there's anything that you think I could add. But with that being said, we're going to jump right into this. So somebody asked a question about quivers in the eastern woodlands in the 18th and 17th century. And that's a fairly consistent question, so I'll just wrap it up into quivers in the eastern woodlands, mainly as it relates to cultural practice, the environment, movement, and I can generally break it down into two categories. You have hard quivers and you have soft quivers. Hard quivers, for instance, like the quiver that I use most often, which is my poplar bark quiver. So you can see it's got my strap on it right now. It's got arrows in it. And it's a really cool quiver. It is made from poplar bark, so it's split. It's got a wooden base in the bottom, and it's just got leather wrapped over the top. And my own personal arrows are inside at the moment. So you can see those there. So two fletch, eagle, bald eagle wing feathers, cedar shafts. They work well enough for me. And I've got these guys that I made. Same thing, bald eagle wing feathers, cedar shafts, and brass 18th century trade points. So very common style for the 18th century. And you can see one of the things I like about this quiver, and one of the ways that if I'm traveling especially, I really love this quiver because it is a hard case. It gives the arrows a little bit more protection. They sit pretty flush in there. Whereas something like a soft quiver like this Otter quiver, for instance, it's nice, it's pretty, it catches people's attention, so it is just an otter skin with the feet and claws still intact. It's got a nice silver ring around it to keep it a little bit sturdier, which is also what I attach my strap to. So the feet and this silver strap are what I attach the strap to when I'm wearing this quiver. But you can see the arrows do stick out a little bit. Instances where I may prefer one over the other, I may prefer this quiver if I was, say, going hunting. This quiver is a little bit more portable. It holds less arrows than this quiver. You can make these bark quivers to any size that you want. You just determine what size tree you're going to cut down, because you will have to kill the tree in order to make this quiver. You're taking off a pretty hefty chunk of bark, so you might as well cut down the entirety of the tree. You can use the trunk where you cut it off, saw another piece, decently thick so that you can use it for a bottom, and you have yourself a quiver. Wait for it to dry. Don't let it curl up, and then stitch it up with root. You can either do a running stitch or whip stitch like what I did here. So if I was hunting, I may prefer this quiver. It's a little bit more portable, like I said. It holds less arrows, but it holds them fairly securely. And you don't really need many arrows if you're going to go hunting. Especially if you're hunting at close ranges, which is the ideal. If you're going out roving or stump shooting, if you're going out on a long trip where quietness isn't as important, you can hear that this is fairly loud. They rattle in there. You could add some fur or other things in there to kind of quiet it. But overall, it's still a piece of wood, essentially. One thing you don't really see all that often is something like this. So this is a reproduction of my great-grandfather's bow and quiver. got some plains, some Kiowa arrows in there, Kiowa bow, and it's meant to be used in a very mobile fashion on horseback. It fits very well. The bow's nice and short, the arrows are nice and short, and they're heavy. You know, whereas in the eastern woodlands, what you often see is longer, narrower shafts, sometimes barrel shafts that are meant to really fly. In the brush of South America or the plains, you'll see arrows that are suited to their environment. But here, archery equipment is no exception to being kind of tailored to the environment. Breech clouts, leggings, moccasins, you know, mantles, snowshoes, different types of quivers, arrows, bows. These are all items that we use as tools to interact with the environment around us. And tribes are going to develop those things as they see fit. So hard quivers, soft quivers are the two main types. I would also throw basket quivers into the category of a hard quiver. They kind of fall in a unique middle ground because they are somewhat flexible. They breathe exceptionally well. So if you're going to be going, say, hunting for waterfowl, if you're going to be in a canoe, maybe a basket quiver is good for you. Like a lashed reed quiver or a river cane basket quiver. It lets water pass through. So if your arrows are wet, if they're going to consistently be wet, if you're going to be in a wet environment, it's raining, maybe a basket quiver. Or say for instance you've got your points tied on with hide glue and sinew and you don't have them waterproofed with pitch. You may want, say, a bark quiver with a cap that fits over the top of it to keep them as removed from moisture as possible until the time that you actually get out to your blind or wherever you're going to be hunting. You know, so what I'll do is I'll usually get out my quiver. I'll take my 4 shafts if I'm using river cane arrows. So, oh, this one's packaged up. But the point is, if I'm using river cane arrows, they have a 4 shaft. I'll take the arrows themselves, stick them in the quiver without the 4 shafts, stick the 4 shafts in my bag, wrap them up like this, and when I get out to where I'm hunting, if I've got to sit for a little while, I might as well sharpen points. And now that I know that my points are nice and sharp and fresh, and I've inspected them, they're all good, I'll put them back in that front of that shaft, and now my arrows are ready to go. So when I need them, I know that they're good. Keeps them from being damaged while you're traveling. So if you're traveling with points on your arrows, they can jostle around, they can dull one another, they can get broken, and you wouldn't know that unless you pulled it out of there. So if you got to pull all your arrows out anyway, you might as well inspect them. So hard quivers, soft quivers, basket quivers, those are the main quivers. And the way that they're worn is at the small of the back. So they're worn with one strap over the shoulder here. See if I can do this without messing up the microphone too much. They're worn over the shoulder here at the small of the back, like this. And they sit horizontal or near horizontal most of the time. Occasionally I'll tuck it up underneath my arm here, like this, especially if I'm going to be moving. This gives you good control over the front of your quiver so it doesn't get caught on things. You don't have to worry about, you know, falling on brush and whatnot. So it's a good way to maintain control if you're going to be moving through a closer environment like the woodlands. But that's just a little bit on quivers. Thank you for the question, and keep them coming because I love making videos for you guys. So thank you.